I, 28F, told my best friend, 29M, we should stay friends after he confessed his feelings. He took it as rejection, blocked me everywhere, and now I'm realizing I made the biggest mistake of my life. His sister just told me he's engaged. Throwaway account because people know my main, and I'm honestly too embarrassed to post this anywhere else. I don't even know what I'm looking for here. Advice, validation, or maybe just someone to tell me I'm not completely insane. I've been carrying this around for 8 months now, and it's eating me alive. I can barely sleep. I can't focus at work. My friends are tired of hearing about it. But I need to get this out because I think I'm drowning in regret. Background. Jake and I have been best friends since college. We met freshman year in a chemistry lab where we were both failing spectacularly. I'm talking like genuinely about to fail the class and ruin our GPAs kind of failing. We got paired up for a lab assignment, and I'll never forget the first thing he said to me. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I make really good color-coded study guides if you're interested in also having no idea what we're doing, but in an organized way. I laughed so hard I snorted, which I never do in front of people I just met, and that was it. We became inseparable. We studied together, failed tests together, eventually figured out chemistry together. Barely, we both got C's and considered it a victory. But more than that, we just clicked. He got my weird sense of humor. I got his tendency to overthink everything. We introduced each other to our respective friend groups, and soon we had this combined social circle where everyone just knew we were a package deal. Sophomore year, we got an apartment together with 2 other friends. Junior year, it was just the 2 of us in this tiny 2-bedroom place off campus. We fell into this comfortable routine. I'd make coffee in the morning, he'd cook dinner at night, way better cook than me. We'd watch Jeopardy together and keep score. We had a running competition of who could beat who at Mario Kart. He was winning, but I maintain he cheated. We knew each other's class schedules, work schedules, moods, everything. People constantly asked if we were dating. Like, constantly. Our parents asked. Our friends asked. Random people at parties would see us together and just assume. And every single time, we'd laugh it off. No, we're just friends. It became this automatic response, this reflexive denial. Looking back now, I wonder if that's part of what screwed us up. We spent so many years insisting to everyone that we were just friends that maybe I convinced myself it was impossible for us to be anything else. After college, we both stayed in the same city. I got a job at a marketing firm, he went into software engineering. We didn't live together anymore. I had my own place, he had his, but we still saw each other multiple times a week. He was the person I called at 2 a.m. when my cat Machi was throwing up, and I was convinced she was dying. She was fine, just ate too fast. I was the person he texted first when he got his dream job at a startup. We had inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else. We could sit in comfortable silence for hours. We celebrated birthdays together, had matching ornaments on our Christmas trees from a trip we took to Vermont, knew each other's coffee orders by heart. You get the picture. We were close. Really, really close. The kind of close where my mom had a framed photo of us in her living room. The kind of close where his dad called me his bonus daughter. But here's the thing that I keep coming back to, it was always just friendship to me. He dated other people throughout college and after. There was this girl Sarah in junior year, yes, ironic given what happens later, who he was pretty serious with for like 8 months. I helped him pick out a necklace for her birthday. There was Emma after graduation who I never really liked, but I was supportive because he seemed happy. And I dated people too. There was Ryan senior year, Tom right after college, a few guys here and there. And yes, a few of my boyfriends got weird about how much time I spent with Jake. Ryan actually broke up with me partly because of it. He said he felt like he was competing with Jake for my attention. At the time, I thought Ryan was being ridiculous and insecure. Now, I don't know. Maybe he saw something I didn't. My last boyfriend before everything happened was Marcus. We dated for 6 months, and I really thought he might be it, you know? He was successful, good-looking, said all the right things. Jake was weirdly quiet about him, which I noticed but didn't really think about too hard. Usually Jake had opinions about the guys I dated. Nothing mean, just observations, suggestions about whether they seemed right for me. With Marcus, he'd just say, if he makes you happy, in this tone I couldn't quite read. Marcus turned out to be texting his ex the entire time we were together. I found out in the most cliché way possible. His phone buzzed on my coffee table with a message that was definitely not appropriate for someone in a relationship. When I confronted him, he tried to gaslight me, said I was overreacting, that they were just friends. I broke up with him on the spot. I called Jake immediately, crying so hard I could barely get words out. He was at my apartment in 15 minutes, even though it was almost midnight, and he had an early meeting the next day. He brought ice cream, my favorite blanket from his place. I'd left it there months ago, and it still smelled like his laundry detergent, and just held me while I ugly cried about how stupid I felt. "You're not stupid," he kept saying. "He's an idiot. You're amazing, and he didn't deserve you." That was Jake. Always there. Always exactly what I needed. What happened? Which brings me to that night last April. The night everything changed, and I didn't even realize how completely I was about to destroy my life. It was a Friday, our traditional hangout night. We'd been doing Friday nights together for years at this point. Sometimes we'd go out, but usually we just stayed in, got takeout, watched whatever trash TV we were currently obsessed with. That particular night, we were at my apartment. I'd ordered Thai food from our usual place, pad Thai for me, drunken noodles for him, spring rolls to share. We were 3 glasses of wine deep, watching some reality dating show and roasting the contestants' terrible decisions. I remember feeling so content. It had been about 3 weeks since the Marcus breakup, and I was finally starting to feel okay again. Jake had been my rock through all of it, checking in on me every day, making sure I was eating, dragging me out of the apartment when I got too mopey. "See, this is why you're the best," I said to him during a commercial break, buzzed enough to be sentimental. "You actually care about me, not just about what you can get from me." He went quiet, like completely still, the kind of quiet that makes the air feel thick. "Jake." He set down his wine glass very carefully and turned to face me. "I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped. I don't know why, maybe some part of me knew what was coming. "Okay. I'm in love with you," he said. Just like that. No preamble, no build-up beyond that moment of silence. I have been for years. Maybe since the beginning, I don't know. Maybe since that first day in Chem Lab when you snorted at my terrible joke. But I can't keep pretending I'm not. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. This was Jake. My best friend, my person, the one constant in my life. And he was looking at me with these vulnerable, terrified, hopeful eyes, and I felt my entire world tilting on its axis. I started, but no words came. My brain was completely short-circuiting. He rushed on like he needed to get it all out before he lost his nerve. "I know this is a lot. I know you just got out of a relationship. I know I'm probably ruining everything right now. I'm not asking you to feel the same way right now. I'm not asking you to jump into something when you're still healing. I couldn't keep it in anymore. It was killing me. Watching you with Marcus, watching you with any of them, watching you date guys who didn't appreciate you. And I kept thinking, I could make you so happy. I know I could. But I never said anything because I was scared, and then you were with someone else again, and..." He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I'd seen him do 1,000 times when he was anxious. "I had to tell you, even if it ruins everything, even if you never want to see me again. I had to." My heart was racing. I felt hot and cold at the same time. Because the thing was, I didn't know what I felt. Was I in love with him? I'd never thought about it. He was Jake. He was my best friend. He was safe, comfortable, home. But was that love? Or was that just friendship? I was overwhelmed, confused, still raw and insecure for Marcus, and absolutely terrified of losing the most important person in my life. Because Jake was everything to me. If I lost him, I lost my best friend, my emergency contact, my favorite person, the one who knew me better than anyone. So I said what I thought was the safe thing. The thing that would protect both of us. The thing that, in my wine-fuzzy, overwhelmed brain, seemed like it would preserve what we had. "Jake, I love you so much," I said, and I meant it. "You're my best friend. You're the most important person in my life. You know that, right? He nodded slowly, but I could see hope dying in his eyes. But I think we should stay friends, I continued, reaching for his hand. He let me take it, but his fingers were limp. I can't lose you. You're too important to me. And I'm worried that if we try to be more and it doesn't work out, I'll lose you forever. And I can't. I can't lose you. I thought I was being mature, protecting both of us, preserving the friendship that meant everything to me. His face did this thing, this crumpling thing, that I can still see perfectly when I close my eyes. It's burned into my brain. He looked like I'd physically hurt him. But he nodded quickly, too quickly, and forced this terrible fake smile.
Yeah.
Of course. You're right. Forget I said anything. Jake, no, don't. It's fine. Really. I just need. He stood up abruptly, nearly knocking over his wine glass. I have an early morning tomorrow. I should go. Stay, I said, feeling panic rising in my chest.
We can talk about this.
We can figure this out. There's nothing to figure out, he said, and his voice was so flat. So unlike him. You gave me your answer. It's fine. I'll see you later. We're good though, right? I asked, standing up, reaching for his arm. We're still us. He pulled away from me gently, but firmly.
Yeah.
We're good. I should really go.
He left. Just like that.
Grabbed his jacket and walked out of my apartment, and I stood there feeling like I'd just made a terrible mistake, but not understanding why or how. I texted him that night, at 2 a.m., when the wine had worn off and anxiety had set in. I meant what I said. You're too important to me to risk losing. But I don't want things to be weird. Can we talk tomorrow? Friends. He responded an hour later. Of course. Sleep well. Those were the last words he ever said to me. The aftermath. The next morning, I woke up with a wine headache and a pit in my stomach. I checked my phone immediately. No new messages from Jake. That was unusual. He was an early riser. He usually sent me memes or articles before I even woke up. I opened Instagram to scroll mindlessly and distract myself from the tension I was feeling. My feed loaded, but something was wrong. Posts from our mutual friends, from brands I followed, from random acquaintances, but nothing from Jake. I went to his profile directly. User not found. I refreshed. Same thing. Checked Facebook.
Blocked.
Snapchat.
Blocked.
Twitter.
Blocked.
My heart started racing. I called him, straight to voicemail. Texted. Hey, did you block me on Instagram? What's going on? The message showed delivered, but no response. I waited all day Saturday. Nothing. Sunday, I texted again. Jake, please talk to me. I'm really worried. Did I do something wrong? Delivered. No response. Monday, I called during his lunch break when I knew he'd usually pick up. Straight to voicemail. Left a message. Hey, it's me. Obviously. Look, if you need space, I get it. But can you just tell me that? Please? I'm freaking out. Tuesday, I tried a different approach. Emailed him at his work email. I know you're seeing these. Please just tell me you're okay. You're scaring me. No response. Wednesday, I broke down and called his roommate, Chris. He answered on the third ring, and I could hear the discomfort in his voice immediately. Hey, what's up? Is Jake there? He's not answering my calls. Long pause. He's not here right now. Chris, I can hear his TV in the background.
Please.
Just put him on the phone for 2 seconds. Another pause. He doesn't want to talk. What do you mean, he doesn't want to talk? We're best friends. Did something happen? Is he okay?
He's fine.
Look, he said to tell you he needs space. Space? For how long? A few days? A week?
Chris sighed heavily.
I don't know, man. He said this was easier. A clean break. I'm sorry, I don't really know what happened between you guys, but he was pretty clear. A clean break? From a friendship? Because I wanted to stay friends? Can you just tell him I miss him? Please? Tell him to call me when he's ready.
Yeah.
I'll tell him. He never called. I tried everything over the next few weeks. Emails that got no response. Voicemails that went into a black hole. I even sent a handwritten letter to his apartment, a 3-page letter explaining that I was sorry if I hurt him, that I valued our friendship more than anything, that I needed him in my life. I poured my heart out in that letter. Never got a response. After a month, I showed up at his apartment, knocked on the door for 10 minutes. Chris finally answered, looking supremely uncomfortable. "He's really not here?" I asked, even though I didn't believe it. He said he can't see you. I'm sorry.
Why?
I just want to talk to him. 5 minutes. That's all I need. Chris looked at me with something like pity. He said being around you hurts too much. That this is the only way he can move on. I really am sorry. I stood there in the hallway of his apartment building and cried. Just full-on sobbed. Chris offered to get me water, but I left before he could, humiliated and heartbroken in a way I'd never experienced before. Because this wasn't a breakup. Breakups I understood, relationships ended, people moved on. But this was having your best friend of 7 years decide you weren't worth a conversation. That you were so unbearable that they had to block you everywhere and refuse to even speak to you. My other friends tried to be supportive. My roommate Sarah, different Sarah, not his fiancée, would make me tea and let me vent. My work friend Priya took me out for drinks and let me ugly cry about it. My friend group from college tried to include me in everything, keep me busy, distract me. But nothing helped because none of them understood. They'd say things like, maybe he needs time. Give him a few months. If he really loved you as a friend, he wouldn't abandon you like this. You're better off without someone who'd cut you out so easily. Maybe this friendship wasn't as solid as you thought. But they didn't get it. They didn't understand Jake, didn't understand us, didn't understand that this was completely out of character for him. Jake was loyal. Jake was communicative. Jake didn't just disappear on people, especially not people he supposedly loved. And then, inevitably, people started taking sides. Our mutual friends were divided. Some of them stayed in touch with both of us, though they never talked to me about him. Some of them drifted away from me entirely. I found out later that Jake had told them he needed distance from reminders of me, so some of our closest mutual friends felt like they had to choose. I lost half my friend group along with losing Jake. Work became hell because I couldn't focus. I'd be in meetings and suddenly remember something funny Jake once said, and I'd have to excuse myself to cry in the bathroom. I went to our favorite coffee shop once, out of habit, and the barista asked where my better half was, and I had to leave before I broke down. Everything reminded me of him. Songs we liked, shows we watched, inside jokes that would pop into my head with no one to share them with. I'd see something funny and reach for my phone to text him before remembering I couldn't. The worst part was the special occasions. His birthday came around in June. We'd celebrated together every year since we met. I sent a text even though I knew he wouldn't respond. Happy birthday. I hope it's a good one. I miss you. Delivered. No response. I spent his birthday crying into a pint of his favorite ice cream, wondering if he was even thinking about me at all. My birthday came a month later. No message from him. Not even a generic happy birthday text. That hurt more than anything. We'd never, not once in 7 years, let each other's birthdays pass without acknowledgement. It was like I died to him. Or like he died to me. Except he was still out there, living his life, and I just wasn't in it anymore. The realization. Around month 3 of the silence, things started to shift in my brain. I'd been so focused on missing my best friend that I hadn't really examined what exactly I was missing. I started having these dreams. Not romantic or sexual dreams, just dreams where Jake was there. We'd be at the grocery store together or sitting on my couch or walking through campus like we used to. And in the dreams, everything was normal.
Easy. Right.
I'd wake up feeling content for about 30 seconds before reality crashed back in, and I remembered he was gone. One morning, I woke up from one of these dreams and realized I'd been smiling. Actually smiling, for the first time in months, because Dream Jake had made a stupid pun about vegetables in the produce aisle. And I thought, that's not normal. You don't smile like that thinking about just any friend. I started noticing other things, like how I'd never felt this destroyed when other friendships had ended. I drifted apart from plenty of friends over the years, people from high school, college acquaintances, even some people I'd been pretty close to. It hurt, sure, but it was a dull ache. That's life, kind of sadness. This wasn't that. This was wake up gasping for air, kind of pain. This was lose 10 pounds because you can't eat kind of pain. This was everything is gray now kind of pain. Then one day in August, I was walking past Cafe Nero, the cafe where Jake and I used to study together in college. We'd spend entire Sundays there, drowning in coffee and highlighters, quizzing each other for exams. I hadn't been back since everything happened. I glanced through the window and saw a couple at one of the tables. They were laughing over their laptops, and the guy was reaching over to fix something on the girl's screen, and something about it, the easy intimacy, the comfortable closeness, hit me like a freight train. That was us. That had been us. And it wasn't just friendship, was it? I stood there on the sidewalk, people flowing around me, having this moment of absolute clarity. I'd been in love with him. Maybe not consciously. Maybe not in a way I would have articulated. But the way I'd always wanted to tell him things first? The way I'd measured every boyfriend against him? The way Ryan had accused me of being emotionally unavailable because I was too close to my male friend? The way Marcus had gotten jealous of the time I spent with Jake? The way I'd felt more myself with Jake than I'd ever felt with anyone I dated? I was in love with him. Maybe I had been all along and was just too stupid, too scared, or too blind to see it. I started thinking about all the times that should have been clues. Like when he dated Sarah in college and I felt weird about it. I told myself I was just worried about our friendship dynamic changing. But was it jealousy? When he met Emma after graduation and suddenly had less time for me, and I felt this disproportionate anxiety about it, was that fear of losing a friend, or fear of losing him? When Marcus broke up with me and I'd called Jake, and he'd held me on the couch for hours, and I'd thought, why can't I find someone who makes me feel as safe as this? Why hadn't I realized the answer was right there, holding me? The night he'd confessed his feelings, he'd said, I could make you so happy. I know I could. And I'd brushed past it, focused on preserving the friendship. But now I thought, he would have made me happy.
He did make me happy.
Happier than any of my actual relationships ever had. How had I been so blind? I tried reaching out again, this time being honest. I crafted a text over 2 hours, editing and re-editing. Jake, I was wrong. I was scared and stupid, and I think I've been in love with you too. I just didn't realize it. I miss you every single day.
Please call me.
Please let me explain. Give me a chance to fix this. I hit send. Watched it turn from delivering to delivered. Nothing. I waited 3 days and sent another. I don't know if you're getting these, or if you're reading them and ignoring them, but I need you to know that these months without you have been the worst of my life. Not because I'm lonely. Not because I miss having a friend. But because you're not here. You specifically. Everything is worse without you. Please. Still nothing. A week later, desperate. I understand if you don't want to be with me. I get it. I hurt you, and I probably killed whatever feelings you had. But can we at least talk? One conversation? I need closure. I need to apologize properly. I need you to understand that I didn't mean to hurt you.
Please, Jake.
I'm begging you. Read receipt. Never.
Response, none.
I called his sister Emily, which felt like a huge violation of boundaries, but I was desperate. She'd always liked me. We'd grab coffee sometimes when she was in town, and she'd jokingly called me her future sister-in-law more than once, back when she thought Jake and I would eventually get our act together.
Hey, Emily.
It's me.
Oh.
Hi. Her voice was cool. Not unfriendly, but not warm like it used to be. I know this is weird. Has Jake said anything about me? Is he okay? Will he talk to me? She sighed. He's doing better, actually. Finally. Like I'd been some kind of illness he'd recovered from. I tried to tell him how I feel. I said, my voice cracking. I know I messed up, but I want to fix it. Can you just tell him to give me one chance? I don't think that's a good idea, she said carefully. He's finally in a good place. He spent months miserable after you guys stopped talking. I watched my brother go through something I've never seen before. He lost weight, stopped doing things he loved, threw himself into work. It was really hard to watch. I'm miserable too, I said too loud. I'm sorry he was hurting, but I'm hurting too. And I finally understand what I feel, and I just need him to. To what? Take you back? Try being friends again so you can hurt him some other way down the line? That stung. I wouldn't hurt him. I love him. Yeah, well, you didn't love him enough to say that when it mattered. I didn't have a response to that. I'm sorry, Emily said softer. I don't mean to be cruel, but he's doing better now. He's moving forward. You need to let him.
How?
I whispered. How do I let go of the most important person in my life?
I don't know, she said.
But for his sake, you have to try. The final blow. I did try. I really did. I stopped texting, stopped calling, deleted our text history because seeing it was too painful, unfollowed our mutual friends who still posted about him, tried going on dates with other people, disaster. I spent the whole time comparing them to Jake. Slowly, painfully, I started to accept that he was gone, that I'd made my choice that night, and I had to live with the consequences. My therapist said I was showing signs of complicated grief, grieving someone who wasn't dead, just gone. He's alive somewhere, she said, living his life, and you're not part of it anymore. That's a unique kind of loss. I'd been doing okay. Not good, but okay. I could make it through whole days without crying. I'd started a new project at work that kept me busy. I'd reconnected with some old college friends I'd drifted away from. I was surviving. And then, 2 weeks ago, I was scrolling Instagram mindlessly on a Sunday morning, and Emily posted a photo. It was Jake, smiling bigger than I'd ever seen him smile. His arm around a beautiful brunette with kind eyes and a warm smile. Both of them holding up her left hand where a diamond ring caught the light. The caption, "So happy for my brother and his soon-to-be wife. When you know, you know. Welcome to the family, Sarah." Red heart. I stared at that photo until my phone screen dimmed and locked itself. Unlocked it and stared some more. Read the caption again. Again. 8 months. He'd moved on in 8 months. Met someone, fell in love, got engaged, all while I was sitting here realizing I'd thrown away the best thing in my life. The comments were full of congratulations. Finally, you two are perfect together. About time Jake found his person. His person. I used to be his person. And now someone else was. I looked at the woman, Sarah, really looked at her. She was pretty in an understated way. Natural.
Warm.
The kind of person who looked like she gave good hugs. In the photos on her profile, yes, I stalked, I'm not proud, she was outdoorsy, adventurous. Lots of hiking photos, pictures with dogs, that sort of thing. She looked nice. She looked perfect for him, actually, which somehow made it worse. I broke down. Completely fell apart. Called in sick to work Monday because I couldn't stop crying. My roommate Sarah made me tea and held my hair while I threw up from crying so hard. I couldn't breathe.
Couldn't think.
The finality of it crashed over me in waves. He'd moved on. He'd found someone else. He was getting married. And I had no one to blame but myself. After 2 days of being a complete disaster, I did something I knew I shouldn't. I called Emily again. She answered, sounded surprised. Hey, I saw your post. Congratulations to Jake. She seems lovely. Silence on the other end. Can I ask you something? I said, my voice steady even though I'd been crying 5 minutes before. Is he happy? Really, truly happy? She sighed.
Yeah.
He really is. Sarah is great for him. She's kind, patient, supportive. She gets him. That's good, I said, and I meant it, even though it felt like swallowing glass. I'm glad he found someone. He deserves that. He does, she agreed. Can you tell me what happened? Why he cut me out so completely? We were best friends for 7 years, and then nothing. And I know I said I wanted to stay friends, but I didn't mean never speak to me again. I didn't mean erase me from your life. What did I do that was so unforgivable? Do you really not know? She asked, and there was an edge to her voice now. An anger I'd never heard from her before. I know I hurt him by not feeling the same way. It's not about you not feeling the same way. Or not immediately, anyway. Then what? He was in love with you for years, she said, and I could hear the capital letters in her voice. Since sophomore year of college. Maybe earlier. He never said anything because you were his best friend, and he was terrified of ruining it. Sound familiar? I felt sick. He watched you date all these guys. He listened to you cry over them. He helped you through breakups. He was there for every late-night crisis, every bad date story, every time you needed someone. And the whole time, he was dying inside because he wanted to be the one you chose, and you kept choosing everyone but him. I didn't know. He knows you didn't know. That's not the point. The point is that he finally got the courage to tell you. Do you know how hard that was for him? How terrified he was. He told me he spent weeks working up to it. And he finally told you, and you said... She paused, and I could hear her collecting herself. You said you wanted to stay friends. That you couldn't risk the friendship. And to him, that was a no. A final, permanent no. Not I need time. Not I'm not sure. You said the friendship was more important than him. That's not what I meant. But that's what he heard. And more than that, you wanted him to go back to being your best friend. Your emotional support. The person you called when you were sad. Which meant watching you eventually date someone else. Watching you fall in love with someone else. Being your friend while being in love with you, and knowing it would never be him. I was crying silently now, tears streaming down my face. He couldn't do it, Emily continued, quieter now. He said it was destroying him. That every day he stayed in your life was another day of hope that maybe you'd change your mind, and another day of accepting that you wouldn't. He said choosing to walk away was the hardest thing he'd ever done, but it was the only way he could survive. He could have talked to me about this. No, he couldn't. Because you would have convinced him to stay. You would have promised that things could be normal, that nothing had to change. And he would have believed you because he loved you, and he would have stayed, and it would have killed him slowly. She took a breath. He told me this was the only way. A clean break. Cold turkey. Block you everywhere, don't answer calls, make it impossible to slip back into old patterns. He said it was like amputating a limb to save the body. That's horrible, I whispered. It worked though. It took months. Honestly, most of this year. But he finally got to a place where he could think about you without it hurting. Where he could imagine a future without you. And then he met Sarah, and she's been so good for him. She doesn't know about you, by the way. He didn't want to bring that baggage into their relationship. That hurt more than I expected. I'd been erased. Not just from his life, but from his history. Did he ever? I couldn't finish the sentence. Did he ever what? Miss me? Think about reaching out. Emily was quiet for a long moment.
Yeah, he did.
Especially at the beginning. He almost called you dozens of times. But he knew if he did, he'd fall right back into it. So he'd call me instead, or our mom, and we'd talk him through it. I miss him, I said, barely audible. Every day. I miss him so much, Emily. I know.
And I'm sorry. I really am.
But he's happy now. He's healing. He's building a life with someone who loves him back. I do love him. Now you do. Or you think you do. But you didn't then when it mattered. When he was brave enough to risk everything. That's not fair. I was confused. I'd just gotten out of a relationship. Life isn't fair, she said simply. And timing is everything. You had 7 years to realize how you felt. He waited 7 years for you. And when he finally couldn't wait anymore, you said no. You don't get to change your mind now that he's moved on and say it's unfair. I didn't have a response to that. Because she was right. She was completely, devastatingly right. I should go, Emily said. I'm sorry this is happening to you.
I really am.
You were good to him for a long time, and he loved you, loves you, as much as he's capable of loving someone. But that chapter is closed now. Can you at least tell him? I swallowed hard. Tell him I'm sorry? That I understand now. That I hope she makes him happy? I can tell him that. But honestly, I think the kindest thing you can do for him is to let him go. Don't show up at the wedding. Don't try to reach out. Just let him have this. Let him be happy, without the shadow of what you two were hanging over it. Okay, I whispered. Take care of yourself, she said, and she actually sounded like she meant it. Then she hung up. I sat on my couch for hours after that call, just staring at nothing. My roommate eventually came out of her room and sat with me, not saying anything, just being there. I lost him, I finally said. I lost him, and it's my fault, and there's nothing I can do about it. I know, she said, squeezing my hand. I know. Where I am now. So here I am. The guy I was secretly in love with, though I only realized it after he was gone, is getting married to someone else in 3 months. The friendship I thought I was protecting by saying, let's stay friends, is dead and buried. And I have no one to blame but myself. I keep replaying that night in my head. The night he told me he loved me. Thinking about what I should have said. What if I'd said, I don't know what I feel, but I want to find out? What if I'd asked for time instead of immediately shutting it down? What if I'd been brave enough to see what was right in front of me? What if I'd noticed the way he looked at me during all those years? The way he always remembered my coffee order, my favorite Thai dish, which side of the bed I preferred to sleep on when we traveled together. The way he'd drop everything when I needed him. The way he'd been quietly, patiently in love with me for years while I was completely oblivious. But I didn't notice. Or I noticed and didn't let myself see it. Because acknowledging it would have meant risking the friendship. Would have meant being vulnerable. Would have meant admitting that maybe all those people who asked if we were dating weren't crazy. Maybe they saw something real that I was too scared to see. My therapist says I need to forgive myself, that I did what I thought was right in the moment with the information I had. That I can't blame myself for not feeling something I wasn't ready to feel. That 7 years of friendship followed by a sudden confession is a lot to process, and my reaction, wanting to preserve the friendship, was understandable. But understanding it doesn't make it hurt less. Doesn't make the regret any lighter. My friends say there are plenty of fish in the sea. That I'll find someone else who makes me feel the way Jake did. But that's the thing, I don't want someone else who makes me feel the way Jake did. I want Jake. My mom said, and this one stung. I always knew you two would end up together. Ever since you brought him home that first Thanksgiving. I had your wedding colors picked out in my head. When I told her what happened, she was quiet for a long time, then said, Oh, honey, what did you do? What did I do? I got scared. I chose safety over possibility. I thought I was protecting both of us, and instead I lost everything. I've been thinking a lot about the concept of the one. I never really believed in it before. But now I think maybe Jake was mine, and I was too blind to see it until it was too late. And the cruel joke is that I was his too, he said so himself, but by the time I realized it, he'd already moved on. He'd found a new one. Does everyone get just one chance at this? One person who fits just right, who knows you completely, who loves you despite all your flaws. And if you miss your chance with them, is that it? Do you spend the rest of your life with someone who's almost but not quite the right fit, always carrying the ghost of what could have been? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. I know that I can't call my best friend when I'm having a panic attack at 3 a.m. I know that I ate Thai food last week and almost threw up because it reminded me too much of our Friday nights. I know that I see his favorite color, this specific shade of blue, and feel like I've been punched in the stomach. I know that I heard our song. We had a song. How did I not realize what that meant? In a coffee shop and had to leave. I know that he's getting married in 3 months to a woman named Sarah, who looks kind and who makes him smile bigger than I ever did. I know that he's happy. That he's moved on. That he's building a life that doesn't include me. And I know that I did this. That I had someone who loved me completely, who knew all my flaws and chose me anyway, and I was too blind to see it until it was too late. I guess I just need to know, has anyone else done something this spectacularly stupid? Has anyone else missed their chance and had to watch the person they love marry someone else? Does it ever stop hurting? Because right now, 8 months in, it feels like this grief is going to swallow me whole. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is that I can't even call my best friend to talk about it. Because he was my best friend. And now he's gone. And I have to figure out how to live with this loss, this regret, this what if that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I'm not posting this looking for people to tell me to show up at his wedding or make some grand gesture or fight for him. I've read enough rom-coms to know that's what the protagonist would do. But this isn't a movie. This is real life, where actions have consequences, where timing matters, where you don't always get a second chance. I'm posting this because I need to know that this pain won't last forever. That eventually, I'll be able to think about him without feeling like I'm drowning. That one day, I'll be able to be happy for him without feeling like my heart is breaking all over again. And maybe I'm posting this as a warning. If someone you care about tells you they love you, really think about what you feel before you respond. Don't just say what feels safe. Don't assume you'll have more time to figure it out. Don't take for granted that they'll wait forever while you sort out your feelings. Because safe isn't always right. And sometimes, by the time you figure out what you really want, the other person has already moved on. Update edit number when I've been reading all your comments and honestly, thank you. Even the harsh ones. Maybe especially the harsh ones. Some of you have been kind, some have called me out on my bullshit, but I needed to hear all of it. A few people asked if I'm going to reach out one more time, or show up at the engagement party, or wait for him at his apartment, or write him another letter. The answer is no. Emily made it clear that he's happy, and after reading your comments, particularly the ones from people who've been in Jake's position, I understand that respecting his choice to move on is the only decent thing I can do at this point. One commenter said, "He set a boundary by blocking you everywhere. Continuing to reach out isn't fighting for love, it's harassment." That hit hard, but they're right. He made his choice. I have to respect it, even though it's killing me.